Hi there. Have you ever had great intimacy planned with your spouse and all of a sudden you're just completely derailed and you're like, we're never making it to the bedroom tonight? Well, that's what we are going to unpack today. And I'm going to share with you three of the biggest interrupters to great sex in your marriage. But first, my name's Mary Whitman Ortiz. I'm a Christian sex educator, relationship coach, author, and speaker, and I love helping couples to create great intimacy in their marriage, even if it's been taboo to talk about in your past. Now, before we dive into those three interrupters, I need to give you just a little bit of a backstory because there are reasons that it might not be happening. There are also problems that evolve out of this if you don't recognize these signs. So what are some of the problems that could happen? Well, the first big problem, you experience hurt. You know, if you're not aware of why you're having an interruption to your sex life, what derailed that whole flow, you're going to internalize that, and that hurt can cause you to have all kinds of reactions. You might lash out in anger, trying to gain control over this unwelcome surprise. You might shut down. Some people just want to flee when there's hurt, when there's a conflict, and that kind of hurt works against you. Actually, there's another way that it plays out. It causes you to avoid dealing with conflict. You're like, oh my goodness, if that's what happens when we have conflict, do I ever want to bring it up again? Probably not, because you don't like the way the hurt feels. And then how does that play out in an even bigger picture? Well, we've got this whole spectrum here, and you're going to peg out somewhere between I'm just tolerating you and our marriage, and I'm all the way over here on the miserable side. And if you are miserable in your sex life or in your marriage, you're not going to make good choices. I mean, having a healthy marriage and a healthy sex life does take smart choices. It takes some work, it takes some effort. But if you are maxed out, shut down, hurt, miserable anywhere in that realm, then hey, you're probably not going to be motivated to do the work. So I want to help you recognize what those interrupters are so you can take action. You don't want to be stuck without the information and the tools that you need to make your sexual intimacy in marriage wonderful. So what are those three interruptions to great sexual intimacy in your marriage? So number one, is there a break in your connection, in your closeness? And here's what that might look like. If you've been planning, it's date night, and you're flirting with each other during the day, maybe you've made special plans and you've got dinner out, you've arranged for the kids to be someplace. Hey, there might be special clothes for the dinner and other clothes for the bedroom. I mean, the possibilities go on and on. And that's a wonderful flow to be in. But sometimes something happens and it feels like the brakes are put on the whole momentum. And you may be like, oh my goodness, what happened? I thought we were really tracking together. I thought something amazing was going to happen for us. So that could be the break in your connection. And that break can happen for any number of reasons. Maybe there was a conflict, issues over the kids, issues over money, issues over extended family. all of those are hot buttons. And it only takes one, but lots of times you have more issues than one come up at the same time. So it's very difficult to leave that issue and jump immediately into intimacy. And so those current conflicts can really catch you off guard. But what if there was some random trigger that your words or your actions stirred up in your spouse? I mean, you're doing good if you're aware of their current issues, but if you're aware of some of their, past issues, that takes a lot. So connection can get broken much easier than we're aware of. What is another interrupter to your great sex? If self-value has been deflated. Now, it can carry over from what was said if they don't feel like they're heard, like their opinions and their needs with a situation. They may be like, he, she, they don't really love me. My spouse expects me to be a certain way, and I'm not living up to that, and I'm never living up to that. Anytime you have the words never or always or every time, wow, that is an altered perspective. It's not a realistic perspective, and so it's quite possible that self-value has been deflated. And let's look at the third interruption to great intimacy. So that could be when it's been exposed that you do not have a healthy outlook towards sexual intimacy. How could that come up? What are some real specific examples of that? Well, you may be in the bedroom or talking beforehand. Maybe you make it all the way to the dinner. That would be great. But there's a request for a certain behavior, a certain activity, a certain dialogue that would happen during intimacy. And everything just starts to bristle because they're like, I don't know about that. I don't think I feel good about that. I'm not sure if that's okay. As Christians, do we have permission to do that? Is God okay with that? Red flag, red flag, red flag. Wow. So that could be a huge interruption to what you plan for a great night of intimacy. Also, body image issues can play into this. I mean, I think there's a whole range of healthy in regards to lights on, lights off, covers on, covers off. I mean, as long as it's mutually satisfying and respectful, there are many, many opportunities for wonderful togetherness in sexual intimacy. But if you haven't talked about it and you don't know what your spouse is thinking, then there could be such a pushback, and that exposes that they didn't really have a healthy sexual intimacy outlook. So those are the three big interrupters to great sexual intimacy in marriage. Have you experienced it? Put a comment in below. Yes, I have been in that sexual intimacy derailment club more times than I ever wanted. And if that really gets your attention, what can we do about it? Well, keep watching my videos. I will break down how to build that connection, how to keep self-value strong, and how to bust the myths over all of those sexual intimacy taboo issues. All right. Thanks so much for joining. Remember, Father God wants to lavish His love on every area of your life, including sexual intimacy in marriage.